Hello and welcome to another match in the Trash Bowl Tournament. This time we have Goblinivan26 versus Iustin. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce your name, put it in the comments below and let me know. And this game is very special to me personally because the winner of this match will go on to face me in the quarterfinals. Because Azru, aka Typo, pulled out before the start of the tournament due to personal reasons. And we see Justin, I'm just going to call it Justin for now, starting off with the Galakrond Aggro Warrior, which both players are bringing, and Ivan starting out with the Galakrond Quest Shaman. Ivan is also bringing a Face Hunter and, as I said, the Galakrond Aggro Warrior. His Galakrond Rogue was banned, and Justin is also bringing a Galakrond Control Warlock, a Quest Druid, and his Highlander Rogue was banned, so Rogue banned on both sides. And we're already seeing the opening plays, and it appears that Ivan is considering the Invocation of Frost, but he might just go with the Rat. Yeah, he goes with the Rat for the extra battle cries. Faceless Lackey is a good pickup, solid for the board control, which is one of the things that you're probably more worried about in this matchup. Temple Berserker coming down would have been a good trade for the Rat, but decides to trade right away with the Town Crier. Now, Justin having the more aggressive deck here should try to go face as often as he can, because the Shaman, once the quest is done and once it really gets going, is definitely more of a threat to you than right now. And again, the aggro deck in this sort of matchup always tries to win quick usually, so a little bit of a, I'm not sure if I agree with the trade there necessarily. Now if you were to trade the Temple Berserker into something, that's very understandable, because that way he could activate the wild damaged effect as well as potentially copy to the Bloodsworn Mercenary if he so desired. So to make two trades happen right now, and does do the Bloodsworn Mercenary play, so very solid board on his end, but still your opponent's at full health if you're the aggro deck, somewhat worrying. Now meanwhile, Ivan having all sorts of options. I personally like just playing the two rush minions, well, the Devoted Maniac and then of course the Elemental coming off of the Invoke trigger decides to go for multiple battle cries instead, trying to progress the quest further, so as to then probably get the full value out of the Devoted Maniac. Very good evolve with the Thackle, by the way. Corcoran Elite would trade very well into that, but again, how worried are you about trading? I like Ritual Chopper maybe as a way to deal with that. Decides to Battle Rage for 3 cards drawn, which is admittedly pretty good Battle Rage. And plays the Ritual Chopper on top of it to take out the Thackle. And decides to go face with all 3 other minions, I would assume. Yeah, that seems to be what he's doing. So yeah, solid chunks of health being taken out already. Devoted Maniac not quite ready this turn if he wants it with the full combo. He could play Novice Engineer right now to fill it out. He decides to go Maniac to finish up the quest. He needs those trades, and that's fair enough. That does of course mean that he gets 1 invocation less, but yeah, believe me, the Shaman has enough ways to make those invoke triggers happen. Mutates the 4 mana 2/2, which is generally a good stat point. Cloud Print's not necessarily exactly what you're looking for. Taskmaster being drawn looks like a solid thing. Devoted Maniac also on this side. We see, however, the Shield of Galakrond, so that is another very good option to trade away a minion. And decides to also kill the Master Swordsmith, if I saw that correctly, and still gets 3 damage into the face. And 18 health looks like a lot, but if you think about the fact that Justin has 10 points of attack just straight up on the board, plus other options for charge damage coming up as well, that's not actually that much. I'm not sure right now if there's a concrete lethal, but there's definitely some stuff that gets him very close. Cobalt Lackey is a really good pickup to deal with the Bloodsworn Mercenary. Invocation of Frost could also stall out one of the minions. As a matter of fact, no, it doesn't quite fit, but Invocation of Frost would deal with the Shield of Galakrond if you wanted to, then the Lackey can deal with the Bloodstone Mercenary, and you're all of a sudden reducing the damage you're taking from 10 to 3, which seems like a dramatic difference. Also, the added bonus that the only minion that could attack in that situation would have only 1 health, so it couldn't be taskmastered. Decides to go with the Novice Engineer instead of the Invocation. Fair enough. Sign of Ruin is ready, and I wouldn't be surprised if we saw it this turn, because it does perfectly deal with the board. The other option is to hit with the Temple Berserker first, and then play some variety of Awaken play. Also clears the board, gives you less stuff, but also gives you more damage this turn with the 3 extra from the Invocation. And then you can still, on top of that, play something like the Cruel Taskmaster to get even more damage in there. Would allow you to go to 12 points of damage, I believe. He does go that route, at the very least so far. If you play the Korkron, that is another 4 points of damage. That is 8, 11, that's 4 of lethal. Can still play the Sign of Ruin. I personally prefer playing it if you actually have some traits for it, but it does definitely put the most stats on the board, although that will also be punished hard by Hero Power and Sandstorm Elemental, which I very much assume is going to be the play coming up. That clears almost the entire board, leaving only the Shield of Galakrond live, and then the Invocation of Frost on the face to prevent the weapon attacking, and having the Rush Elemental to take out the shield. So going from very far behind on the board to nothing, and that is lethal. Korkron plus Cruel Taskmaster plus Inner Rage perfectly kills Ivan. Let's see if he, yeah, it looks like he sees it. And I mean, what an out of nowhere lethal. I mean, yes, he was very much ahead with his game plan, but still very impressive. And that brings Justin up 1-0, leaving him with his Galakrond Control Warlock and the Quest Druid as the 2 other decks he can still play. And Ivan having all 3 of his decks available, now more so than before, a little bit maybe predictable what your opponent is playing. The Quest Druid and the Control Warlock at the end of the day are both somewhat control-oriented decks. So how do you overpower that best? You could bring the Shaman again, which is probably the one that's more evenly matched with those, or you can say maybe you think that Face Hunter could potentially outspeed the Quest Druid, for example. Decides to go with the Galakrond Aggro Warrior, and we see the Quest Druid on the bottom here. Of course, I keep the quest, and it seems that Ivan got a pretty decent starting hand, and so did Justin, it appears, because you play quest on 1, Worthy Expedition on 2, very solid. Now, if I'm Ivan, I like coining the Temple Berserker, but that is a bit of a personal choice. But yeah, coining the Temple Berserker allows you to play Taskmaster on next turn, and if it lives long enough, you could even then play the Bloodstone Mercenary on that. We'll see a Discover here. Rising Winds is nice, so Crystal Power potentially as a defensive option. Tending Torrent seems a little too slow. Crystal Power is the pickup here to take out whatever, really. Now the options are Ritual Chopper or Cruel Taskmaster. Taskmaster would have pushed the damage most efficiently right now, but we see the Ritual Chopper come out. Taskmaster would have actually been the exact same amount of damage, but more stats on the board. Does leave the Berserker more vulnerable, of course. Crystal Merchant coming down, which draws more cards, which is good for Justin. Ivan has the Taskmaster still on hand. Now he can play Bloodstone Mercenary very effectively because he didn't play the Taskmaster last turn. That being said, if he had, he would have probably gotten his Berserker Wrath. So that's to do it now for the trade, knowing that the Crystal Merchant is very valuable, and plays the Town Crier for the draw. Yeah, we see Justin already hovering over the Crystal Power, full well knowing that that is a good way to take out the Berserker, but so is Wrath, and Wrath is cheaper. As a matter of fact, you can play both, and take out everything but the Town Crier. And, ooh, Breath of Dreams. Also an interesting card. Ramp is never bad, but of course you want to just keep that mana crystal open, just play it very casually. And Lance is a good pickup here for Ivan, because the Sign of Ruin was not ready, and the Lance allows him to attack this turn, put some extra damage, and still get that Lackey that he can even play this turn. Wisely attacks first with the Lance to see what Lackey he gets, because if it was, for example, Goblin Lackey, you might want to put it on the Town Crier. Also attacks with Town Crier before evolving it, so everything played very well here. I like the Twilight Drake, put stats on the board, the Mana Reservoir isn't very dangerous, and the quest is now also done. So now all choose one effects trigger both effects. Shield of Galakron seems like the obvious play here. Gives Ivan the chance, if he wants to trade off the dragon, but I would just go face with everything, because you know that now you have to win quick. Your Ace Surger will deal with your board very effectively. Nourish will just bring him hugely ahead, and decides to go for the trade. More passive strategy for sure. I think the longer the match goes, the more it favors the Druid, so I would have probably just gone face there. But it's a little bit of a playstyle thing. Either choice can definitely be justified. And we see the Oasis Surgers come down. Yeah, that I don't think we'll see the Bloodstone Mercenary necessarily, but the Sign of Ruin seems like a decent choice. Plays the Faceless first. He can still play Scion and even the Eternium Rover. Scion allows him to trade off everything. Means that his board is still very far behind. Well, not necessarily behind his opponents, but just behind where he wants to be right now. And Nourish seems like a really good play here. Doesn't really deal with the board immediately, but we're talking about 2 points of attack, and ramping to 10 and drawing some cards, and then still having the mana to play something afterwards seems very solid. Swipe might be in consideration here, but yeah, I don't know. Plays Worthy Expedition, gets the Druid of the Scythe if he wants to, Druid of the Claw as well, which is just a stronger version of the Druid of Scythe. Picks that up, so there's a 4/6 charge taunt that he can play. Plays Nourish anyways, fair enough, and can, even if he wants to play Breath of Dreams, doesn't really matter too much except for that you draw a card. The ramp, of course, doesn't matter because you would go to 10 next turn either way. The Anubis picked up, however, strong card, good play right there. And we might just see another Sign of Ruin. It seems like the best card on the hand for sure. 2 of them deal with the Anubis very well, and then on top of that you can still play the Eternium Rover and Hero Power. Not necessarily the greatest situation to be in, but at least you got some stuff on the board. And ooh, that Starfall. That Starfall is pretty good. If you didn't have enough answers already as Justin, then this definitely helps. Emerald Explorer with the option to pick up another one, and he does so as well. If he wants to, he can innovate into the Druid, or he can just swipe off something, or he can even pass. That's a valid option here. You're so far ahead, you might not even need to use all of your mana very efficiently, and you might get better options for those removal cards. If he does swipe, that gives his opponent a lot of armor, but honestly, for the Druid, you're not that worried about that. Decides to swipe to remove as many stats as possible. Now the Bloodstone Mercenary could duplicate the egg, but the problem is you don't have a solid way to then actually pop the egg at the end. So it's not that powerful even, it just kind of secures a little bit against board wipes like Starfall, because those would just enable all the eggs. Looks like he might just play the Leroy to get rid of the taunt, and trades his other 2 minions in. Not what you want to do, of course, in that situation. And just Hero Power, armors up, and it seems like Justin has this game in his hand right now. And what do you even do if you're him? I guess you just play the other Emerald Explorer, produce another big taunt, lock down the board further, or play Druid of the Claw. Same thing. Taunt, locks on the board. Nourish just draws you cards at this point. I mean, it is effectively a 4 mana draw 3, which is pretty good. Ooh, Hidden Oasis. The perfect draw. Yeah, he's gonna play that, go back to full, produce a big taunt. And if you're Ivan, how do you even deal with this? Right? Like, this is pretty tough. And that is not really it. I mean, yes, he can now Inner Rage it and play some more Bloodsworn Mercenaries. Get his board somewhat up again, but... Decides to not play the other Mercenary, it appears. Puts just enough stats on the board to deal with what he's facing right now. But I think we might just see... Oh, we see Demon Explorer. I was expecting the Druid of the Claw to deal with the Bloodsworn Mercenary, but oh boy. Crowd Roaster very solid, single target removal. It's pretty good over the Dragon Ball Scorcher because the warrior likes taking 1 damage to his minions and it doesn't really remove most things. So it's definitely a solid choice here. And Swipe doesn't actually do too much right here, but it does enough to clear out most of the board. If he decides to take the trade here, he can remove the entire board. And that is what he does. And yeah, Town-Crier, probably one of the better pickups because it allows you to actually play 2 things this turn. And Devoted Maniac definitely also very solid. But all of this doesn't really do too much. And we'll just see some trades happen. Yeah, the taunts are tough to deal with over time. Crowd Roaster would be a little overkill here, so we'll just see another Emerald Explorer coming down. Ysera seems like a very solid choice, and that is where we go with this as well. Looking at the Innervate, maybe considering playing it for the Druid. Ferocious Howl would have also been very solid right now, but it seems like he's now just trying to finish up this match. Dealing 12 damage, dealing 8 damage to face, the other one wasn't ready yet. Cruel Taskmaster and Bloodsworn Mercenary do work pretty well together, but it's not necessarily the Town-Crier that you want to do that with. But yeah, 12 damage every turn now from Justin seems pretty solid, and we'll just see more of it coming down. Ysera, and we see one trade just to protect his 4/2 taunt, and yeah, all of those portals are just gonna flip the board even more in the Druid's favor, and this seems like a clear win for Justin. Yeah, that Inner Rage is not doing anything for you. And I've been finally playing the Bloodsworn Mercenary just for some stats, but we see how much damage on board right now. That's 16. So if you can produce 6 damage somehow, like for example, Crowd Roaster doesn't go, and nothing of this goes face, so you can't. I don't think you can straight up win this turn. But I mean, you just go Ferocious Howl, see what you can get. Seems like he's sacking his Emerald Explorer, which seems like seems like a weird choice when you can just hit Ysera in to the minion if you really want to, but also you can just start pushing now. You can play Ferocious Howl and the Breath to have some more draw. It doesn't even do that. Krongs on Ivan's hand just draws him the Galakrond, which doesn't do anything this turn. Armor Up takes a trade, probably. And that is GG for Ivan. So yeah, Justin just going for it, and that was the Quest Druid. So, of course, once again the question, what do you bring next for Ivan? Yeah, right. He now knows that Justin is playing his Control Warlock next, and I say go back to the Shaman is probably the best matchup, but it's just really tough to win it with the other 2 decks to begin with. So, not a good situation to be in necessarily. But, you know, you just gotta... You know you're behind. That's not necessarily being lost. You just gotta go for it where you can. And this is gonna be the next matchup. And it is the Warrior versus the Control Warlock, going back to that aggro Warrior. The Galakrond Control Warlock starting off with a very mediocre hand, probably gonna see a lot of that being thrown out. And Mortal Coil is a very good card in this matchup. It's not, of course, not something you can play on turn 1, but you're gonna see a lot of minions go down to 1, in part because of something like the Reborn and the Temple Berserker, in other parts because you're gonna see minions be pushed for a little bit of extra damage. Probably, I was about to say, we're probably not gonna see Nether Breath right now. Just playing it nice and slow here. And there's already the first chance that you might see. It does not appear that way, but potentially he could have Inner Rage there. I wouldn't have done it either, but that would have been one of those plays that just very much reacts to the Mortal Coil there. And I think Awaken is perfect here, yeah, it's just deals with the board, hit for damage in the face. Ivan having the initiative for the first time in a while with this, probably the first time this entire tournament with this specific deck, and we'll see Fiendish Rites, just producing 2/2/1 minions. Relatively weak use of Fiendish Rites, but just having something on the board to deal with a warrior is of course what you'd want. And it seems that we'll see the Cruel Taskmaster and Inner Rage just dealing with the minions, and the Town Crier going face. It would have been a completely valid option to use the Maniac here to take out one of them and then your face for the other from the Invoke trigger. Shield of Galakrond, very solid choice here, just once again putting some extra stuff on the board, putting up a big taunt, and even potentially sack-pacting one of the imps for some healing. Not sure if it's that time of the game just yet, but Justin does seem to think that it is, and you can't really blame him. It's a very solid choice. You're sacking a 1-mana, as you're sacking a 1/1 minion for 5 health as the slower deck in this matchup, just very solid. We see the Maniac coming out now to deal with this big thing, and trading off the 1/1, keeping the Taskmaster alive. And Crazed Netherwing could deal with this. The question is, do you want to deal with it that way? You could play Ziliax as well. Either one deals with it very solidly and puts some stats on the board. Ziliax, of course, being friendlier to your personal health. But also, for both of them, the question is there maybe a point where you want it more? You could just go Nether Breath and pass. Or draw something with your hero power, and then still probably Nether Breath might be the play here. Dark Skies seems too wasteful, and that's really his only removal option. So yeah, going up 4 health and dealing with the board, very solid. Temple Berserker coming down now, no good way to damage it, which is a little sad because of course the Bloodsworn Mercenary would have worked very well with it if you had something like Inner Rage. Crazed Netherwing or Ziliax, once again options. Mortal Coil would then draw you a card off of the Reborn Berserker. Definitely worth considering. I mean, card draw is very good in general, and getting a Ziliax out doesn't hurt. I would suggest Ziliax over the Netherwing because using the Netherwing to remove a single minion seems a little dramatic. And yeah, healing back to full, dealing with the Temple Berserker there, very solid plays. And Ivan looking at that, it looked like he was looking at the Galakrond already, but he does go for the Lifewire Lance here, which very perfectly deals with the Ziliax, gets himself a Lackey, probably hoping for Faceless right now because that's what establishes a board for him, but which is a very interesting one. I'm gonna expect that we'll see that in combination with the Scion of Ruin, because it's probably one of the most understated minions in this deck. And you saw Justin there looking to maybe play the Kronks to draw himself his own Galakrond. You don't really have any other strong plays right now. Shield of Galakrond definitely a good choice here as well. You definitely don't want to play the Crazed Netherwings on an empty board. And you can afford to go a little slow, so going with the shield makes sense. Establish your own board again. And now Scion of Ruin would perfectly be able to trade 2 of them in, or even the weapon and one of them to take care of the shield, and then you could use your Witchy Lackey to evolve the remaining one. He decides to go for the Invoke instead, getting himself another Lackey, and I honestly can't see right now. I think it's another Witchy. It's another Witchy. Decides to evolve the shield. Unseen Saboteur. Probably not exactly what you want, so we might just see another evolve. He looks like he was thinking about evolving the other Lackey, actually. Maniac, pretty solid, but not really necessary either. So we'll see Dark Skies come down to just clear up the board. Kron's being played just to draw the Galakrond, so you can have it. It's a big impact play, it's fully invoked. So now Scion seems like a solid play to just deal with the Kronks and have a random 5-drop on the board. Random 5-drop has significantly better stats than 3-2. And then you still have some options here, Berserker being the one that he chose, which makes sense since you don't really have anything for the Mercenary specifically. And his 5-drop is a Sightless Ranger. Very understated, and we'll just see Galakrond Azeroth's End come down. 4 random demons, and oh boy. Now the Witchwood Imp, not that solid, but the Jumbo Imp, pretty big, and that little lifesteal taunt there is something that the aggro deck is also going to hate, of course. The Claws can perfectly take out the Sightless Ranger, and you can sell Hero Power to get some extra board presence. It seems like he might just be saying the game is close to over, I might just go face, but I mean, why? Yeah, exactly, like, you're the slower deck, you can afford to go a little slower, and that seems to be what he's doing. And that Temple Berserker there is not going to be enough to take out the minion, but of course Battle Rage now draws 2. There is a Sign of Ruin that will be able to take it out, and even be able to take out the Chaos Gazer. Acolyte of Pain coming down as well, as does the Eternium Rover. And for Iustin, the best play right now is probably just to go face with everything and then just play the Crazed Netherwing. Clears up the board, except for... I mean, probably hit one of the imps into the Temple Berserker first, so that it actually clears everything. And then you can just, for 5 mana, clear the entire board. Maybe Hero Power after to establish a little bit. Or even play the Devoted Maniac after with the same intent. Just a good way to deal with the board. You do only have a limited number of board wipes, but I think that this is one of the stronger boards you're going to face. And especially since once Galakrond comes down, the buffed minions from that are going to be too big to deal with it via Crazed Netherwing anyway, so yeah. Seems like that's what he's setting up here. Don't forget to hit those 2 1/1s into face before you play it, just for that extra little damage. Crazed Netherwing coming down. Clears the board. And we just might see another 13 damage go to face. We might also see the Claw staying up to deal with the minion, which is probably the more solid choice for the control deck, but either one is possible. Decides to go Hero Power Snip Snap. I personally like Maniac better. It only loses you 1 point in stats and the Death Rattle. And you can probably build a bigger Snip Snap at another point. And yeah, if you're Ivan, you're very much fighting from behind right now. Once again, copies the Maniac with the intent that it has Rush again. Not really that much that you're dealing with there, but just a little bit of extra trading potential there. And we see, I believe the Breath can only go on minions. Deal 2 damage for holding. No, it's a straight up damage thing, so yeah, that's GG. Oh, Netherwing would have done it as well. So, wow. Strong performance from Iustin. Again, please let me know in the comments how I am supposed to pronounce your name. And, whew, not a good day for Ivan. And I now know what I have to look forward to in my first match in this tournament, because I got the first round by dumb luck, really. And yeah, it seems like I'm facing Iustin with a very good anti-aggro matchup with my full aggro lineup, so but we'll see about that once it comes to that. If you want to see that, however, you should probably subscribe to the channel to not miss it when we upload the new parts of the tournament and other helpful videos as well. You can also join the Discord server to talk to the competitors as well as be informed about the uploads there as well. And very secret tip that not a lot of people know about, we have a subreddit, trashcantv.reddit.com for that one. And otherwise, just, leave a comment under the video for what you thought about the matches. Is there any plays that the players overlooked, maybe something that I called wrong, just general feedback. Like the video if you enjoyed it, and until next time, that's it.